The mop bucket wheels squeaked across the polished floor as Derek Walsh pushed it down the long corridor of the Galactic Rehabilitation Center. His shift started at midnight, when most of the staff had gone home and the facility settled into quiet darkness. He preferred it this way. The silence let him think, and more importantly, it let him observe. Derek had been cleaning these halls for 9 months now. Earth needed workers willing to leave home for decent pay, and the center needed humans willing to work the graveyard shift. Most people found the place unsettling at night. Rows of containment units housing injured or traumatized alien beings, some conscious, most not. The other janitors rushed through their rounds and left as quickly as possible. But Derek took his time. He noticed things. Tonight, he worked his way through the medical wing, mopping each observation deck with careful attention. Through the reinforced glass walls, he could see the various patients. A Keltharian with damaged sensory organs floated in suspension fluid. 2 Orvani siblings recovering from a shuttle crash huddled together in their shared unit. A Valorian trader who had lost both lower appendages in a pirate attack. And then there was Unit 7. Derek stopped his cart outside the large containment area and looked through the triple-layered barrier. The dragon inside was massive, easily 4 times its height if it stood fully upright. Its scales were a dull gray-brown, like stone that had forgotten how to shine. The creature lay motionless on the reinforced floor, wings folded tight against its body, head resting on clawed forelimbs. The medical chart mounted outside the unit read, Pyrian Drake, Origin, Pyrrhus 4, Status, Unresponsive, Transfer Pending. Derek had watched this dragon for 8 months. It never moved, never made a sound. The day staff called a lost cause. He had overheard Dr. Halvik, the Centaurian director, talking about it just last week in the break room. Complete neural shutdown, Halvik had said. The creature experienced severe trauma to both its vocal structures and psychic centers. Pyrian drakes communicate through a combination of song and telepathy. Without either ability, this one has simply given up. We'll transfer it to long-term catatonic care on Refuge Station next month. The other doctors had nodded. Nobody argued. Nobody suggested alternatives. Derek squeezed out his mop and started cleaning the observation deck. He worked methodically, moving in steady rows across the floor. As he neared the glass barrier, something made him pause. The dragon's eye was open. Just barely, a slit of deep amber watching him. Derek stood still, mop in hand. He had never seen the dragon open its eyes before. The medical reports all said it was conscious but unresponsive, aware but unwilling or unable to engage with its surroundings. "Hey there," Derek said quietly. "Didn't mean to disturb you." The eye tracked his movement as he resumed mopping. Derek felt a strange pull in his chest, an old familiar feeling from years ago. He had worked in special education back on Earth before his daughter grew up and moved away. Some of his students had been nonverbal, locked in their own worlds by autism or trauma or brain injuries that left them unable to communicate in traditional ways. Everyone said those kids were unreachable too. Derek finished the observation deck and moved his car to the storage alcove. But instead of continuing to the next section, he walked back to Unit 7. He stood at the glass, looking at the dragon properly for the first time in months. The creature was still watching him with that one half-open eye. "You know what I think?" Derek said, even though he knew he was talking to himself. "I think you're in there. I think you hear everything. I think you're just stuck and nobody's figured out how to help you out yet." The dragon didn't respond. Derek hadn't expected it to. "I had a student once," Derek continued, leaning against the glass. "Girl named Amy. Car accident when she was 6. Lost her ability to speak, couldn't write, couldn't sign. Doctors said she was brain damaged, told her parents to put her in a facility. But her eyes followed people, just like yours are following me right now." The dragon's nostril flared slightly. It was such a small movement that Derek almost missed it. "Took us 3 years," Derek said, "but we found a way. She couldn't speak our language, so we learned hers. Little movements, blinks, patterns. She's in college now, studying to be a teacher. Uses a computer system that tracks her eye movements to communicate." Derek realized he was smiling at the memory. He looked back at the dragon. I bet nobody's tried talking to you, have they? Not really talking. They've run their scans and their tests and their treatments. But has anyone just sat with you and tried to understand? The dragon's eye closed slowly, then opened again. Derek couldn't tell if it meant anything, but something his gut said it did. He checked his watch. Still 3 hours left on his shift. He had time. Derek went to the supply closet and found what he was looking for, a small handheld whiteboard and some markers, the kind the medical staff use for quick notes. He returned to Unit 7 and sat down on the floor outside the containment barrier. Okay, Derek said, uncapping a blue marker. Let's start simple. He drew a circle on the whiteboard and held it up to the glass. This is a star, he said. Where I come from, we look up at night and see thousands of them. The dragon didn't move, but Derek wasn't discouraged. He had spent years learning patience. He drew another shape. This is Earth, my home. It's mostly water, but the parts that aren't water are really beautiful. For the next 2 hours, Derek sat on that floor and drew. He drew his daughter when she was small. He drew the mountains near his old house. He drew simple things, explaining each one in a calm, steady voice. The dragon watched him the entire time. When Derek's shift ended and the morning crew started arriving, he stood up stiffly. His back ached from sitting on the hard floor, but he felt more awake than he had in months. I'll be back tomorrow night, he told the dragon. Same time, if you want. As Derek walked away with his cleaning cart, he didn't see the dragon's tail move for the first time in 8 months. Just a slight twitch, barely perceptible, but it moved. Derek kept his promise. The next night, he brought the whiteboard back to Unit 7. And the night after that, and the night after that, for 3 days, the dragon just watched him. Derek didn't mind. He had learned long ago that trust couldn't be rushed. So he drew pictures and told stories about Earth, about his life, about anything that came to mind. He talked about the ocean he had visited once, about the first time he saw snow, about the terrible coffee in the facility break room. On the 4th night, something changed. Derek was drawing a picture of a tree when he noticed the dragon had shifted position. Its head was lifted slightly off its forelimbs, angled toward the glass. And when Derek drew a small bird sitting on one of the branches, the dragon's tail twitched. Derek's hand froze. He looked up at the dragon, who was staring at the drawing with both eyes fully open now. You like birds? Derek asked softly. The tail twitched again. Derek felt his heart rate pick up. It was small, so small that anyone else might have dismissed it as a muscle spasm. But Derek recognized intentional movement when he saw it, that he spent the rest of that shift drawing birds. Dozens of them. Every species he could remember from Earth. Cardinals and crows and eagles and tiny hummingbirds. The dragon watched each one, and occasionally that tail would move. The next week, Derek started bringing other things. Pictures printed from the facility computer lab, showing forests and mountains and rivers. The dragon's attention sharpened with each new image. When Derek showed a photo of a sunset over the ocean, the dragon's claws flexed against the floor. Derek knew he was onto something, but he also knew he was breaking protocols. Staff weren't supposed to interact with patients outside their job descriptions. He was a janitor, not a therapist or medical professional. If anyone found out he was spending hours sitting with Unit 7's occupant, there would be consequences, but he couldn't stop now. Not when the dragon was finally responding 0.2 weeks into his nightly visits. Derek made a decision. He went to the facility library during his lunch break and started researching. The computers had extensive databases on every known species in the Galactic Alliance that he found the entry for Pyrian drakes and started reading. The information made his chest ache. Pyrians were highly social creatures who lived in complex family groups. They communicated through intricate songs combined with telepathic impressions, creating layered conversations that could convey emotion, memory, and abstract concepts simultaneously. Losing both abilities would be like losing all senses at once. Trapped in complete isolation, Derek read about their culture, their history, their biology. He learned that young Pyrians learned to speak by mimicking their parents, just like human children. He learned that they formed deep bonds and grieved intensely when those bonds were broken. The medical notes about Unit 7's patient were sparse. found drifting in a damaged ship near the outer fringe. Severe trauma to throat and psychic centers. No identification, no emergency contacts, no family located. Standard medical treatments attempted and failed. Patient unresponsive to all stimuli. Derek closed the file and sat back in his chair. Everyone had tried to fix the dragon's body. Nobody had thought about its mind or heart. That night, Derek brought something different to Unit 7. His daughter's old tablet computer, something she had used years ago when she was learning to read. He had modified it slightly, simplifying the interface to just a few basic icons that he held it up to the glass. See this? It's a communication tool. Humans invented these for people who can't speak normally. The dragon watched, but didn't move closer. Derek touched the screen, demonstrating. A green circle appeared. This means yes. Agreement. Positive. He touched another spot. A red square appeared. This means no. Disagreement. Negative. He demonstrated several more times, then set the tablet down near the containment unit's supply slot. The slot was designed for medical staff to pass food and medication through. It was small, but the tablet would fit. I'm going to leave this here, Derek said. If you want to try it, just touch the screen. Nobody's watching the cameras this closely at night. It'll be just between us. Derek went back to his cleaning duties, forcing himself not to look at Unit 7 every few seconds. He mopped the entire medical wing, cleaned 2 bathrooms, and emptied 14 trash bins. 2 hours passed. When he returned to check, the tablet was exactly where he had left it. Derek tried not to feel disappointed. It had been a long shot anyway. He picked up the tablet to take it back when he noticed something. There was a smudge on the screen. A large smudge, right over the green circle. Derek's hands started shaking as he checked the tablet's activity log. One touch registered. Timestamp. 47 minutes ago, he looked up at the dragon, who was watching him with what Derek could only describe as careful attention. You touched it, Derek said, his voice barely above a whisper. You actually touched it. The dragon didn't move, but Derek could swear he saw something in those amber eyes. Something that looked almost like hope. Derek spent the rest of his shift sitting on the floor, holding the tablet where the dragon could see it. He asked simple questions, demonstrating the yes and no responses each time. Are you listening to me? Green circle for yes. The dragon's claw moved slowly, deliberately. It extended through the supply slot and touched the screen. Green. Derek felt tears prickling his eyes. Can you understand what I'm saying? He asked. The claw touched green again. Have you been understanding this whole time? Green. Has anyone else tried to talk to you like this? The claw moved to the red square. Derek sat with that knowledge, feeling anger build in his chest. 8 months. This dragon had been aware and conscious for 8 months, and nobody had tried basic communication. They had all been so focused on medical solutions that they had forgotten the simplest approach. Just talk. Just listen. Just try. I'm going to help you, Derek promised. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to help you. The dragon's claw touched the screen one more time, hovering over the green circle before pressing down firmly. Yes. Over the next 2 weeks, Derek and the dragon developed a rhythm. Every night, Derek would arrive with the tablet, and they would communicate. He started adding more icons to the interface. Happy, sad, hungry, tired, scared, angry. The dragon learned quickly, faster than Derek had expected. Within days, it was combining icons to create more complex meanings. Sad plus tired meant exhausted. Scared plus angry meant threatened. Happy plus surprised meant relieved. Derek began to understand what had happened. He asked questions carefully, watching which icons the dragon selected. Were you alone when they found you? Red. No. Were there others with you? Green. Yes. Family. The dragon's claw hesitated over the screen. Then it pressed green and immediately followed with sad. Sad. Sad again. Derek's throat tightened. They didn't make it, did they? Green. I'm sorry, Derek said quietly. I'm so sorry. The dragon touched more icons. Lost. Family. Sad. Then it added a new combination Derek hadn't seen before. Dark. Empty. Alone. You've been grieving, Derek said. All this time and nobody knew. Green. Derek spent that night just sitting with the dragon, not asking questions, not pushing for more information. Sometimes communication wasn't about words. Sometimes it was just about presence. But their time was running out. Derek had overheard Dr. Halvik talking again. The transfer was scheduled for next week. Unit 7's patient would be shipped to Refuge Station, a long-term care facility for catatonic cases. Once there, the dragon would likely never receive active treatment again. Just maintenance. Just existence. Derek knew he had to do something, but he wasn't sure what. He was a janitor. He had no authority, no credentials, no standing to question medical decisions. If he tried to go through official channels, they would laugh him out of the building. On his next shift, Derek made a choice that he knew could cost him his job. He started coming in early, before his shift began, using his key card to access the medical wing during evening hours when the day staff was finishing up. He would slip into Unit 7's observation room and work with the dragon using the tablet. Nobody noticed at first. Derek was careful, timing his visits during shift changes when the hallways were busy and the security monitors were less attended, that he expanded the tablet's vocabulary. Added concepts like memory, home, pain, healing. The dragon absorbed everything eagerly, like someone who had been starved for conversation, finally given a feast. One evening, Derek asked a question he had been avoiding. "Do you have a name?" The dragon stared at the tablet for a long moment. Then it began touching icons in sequence. Star, song, 3, dawn, star singer at third dawn. Derek tried to parse the meaning. Green. "That's beautiful," Derek said. "Can I call you Star Singer?" Green. They were making progress, real progress. Star Singer was communicating complex ideas now, expressing emotions and memories. Derek documented everything on his personal tablet, building a record of their conversations. But then the security system flagged unusual power usage in Unit 7 during non-standard hours. An investigation was launched. Derek found out when his supervisor called him into the office 3 days before the scheduled transfer. "Mr. Walsh," the supervisor said, a stern Corellian woman named Veta, "we've detected unauthorized access to the medical wing. Your key card was used to enter Unit 7's observation area 6 times in the past 2 weeks outside your assigned shift." Derek's stomach dropped, but he kept his voice steady. "Yes, ma'am. That was me." "Explain." "The patient in Unit 7 isn't catatonic," Derek said. "It's aware, conscious, and capable of communication. I've been working with it using a basic tablet interface." Veta's expression didn't change. "You're a janitor, Mr. Walsh, not a therapist or medical professional. You violated protocol by interacting with a patient without authorization." "The protocol was failing that patient," Derek said, feeling heat rise in his face. "Everyone gave up. I didn't." "That's not your decision to make." Veta pulled up a file on her computer. "Dr. Halvik has filed a formal complaint. You're suspended without pay, effective immediately. You're banned from patient contact and confined to supervised work areas only." "But the transfer is in 3 days," Derek protested. "If Star Singer goes to Refuge Station now, nobody will continue the communication therapy. All this progress will be lost." "Star Singer." Veta raised an eyebrow ridge. "You named it." "It named itself," Derek said. "Using the tablet. Using the system I taught it." Veta studied him for a long moment. "I'm going to give you some advice, Mr. Walsh. Drop this. Accept the suspension. In a few months, this will blow over and you can return to work. But if you keep pushing, Dr. Halvik will have you terminated and possibly brought up on charges for unauthorized patient interference." Derek left the office feeling like the ground had shifted under his feet. He had tried to help, and now he was being punished for it. Worse, Star Singer would be transferred away, left to exist in isolation for however long dragons lived. That night, Derek couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Star Singer's response when he had asked if anyone else had tried to communicate. Read. No, Derek had been the first person to see Star Singer as an individual rather than a case file. The first person to try basic conversation instead of just medical treatment. And now he was being forced to abandon that connection. Around midnight, Derek made a decision. He got dressed, grabbed his personal tablet with all his documentation, and drove to the Galactic Rehabilitation Center. If they were going to ban him anyway, he might as well make it count. He walked straight past security, using his not-yet-deactivated keycard. He went to the medical wing and found Unit 7. Star's Singer was awake, pressed against the glass as if waiting. Derek held up his tablet so the dragon could see it. He had prepared a message. "I'm going to fight for you. They're going to try to stop me. But I promise you, I won't let them ship you away without someone knowing the truth. You deserve to be heard." Star Singer's claw reached through the supply slot and touched the communication tablet Derek had left inside the unit. Green. 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 The weekly medical review board meeting was held in Conference Room 3, a sterile space with a long table and chairs designed to accommodate 7 different species. Derek had never been inside this room before. Janitors didn't attend medical meetings, but Derek wasn't there as a janitor today. He stood outside the conference room door, his heart hammering against his ribs. Inside, the board was reviewing cases, making decisions about patient care and transfers. Star Singer's case was scheduled for discussion in 10 minutes. Derek had spent the last 2 days preparing for this moment. He had organized all his documentation, compiled video footage from his personal tablet showing Star Singer using the communication system, and written a formal request for emergency evaluation postponement. He also knew he was about to commit career suicide. The door opened, and a medical assistant stepped out, nearly colliding with Derek. "Can I help you?" she asked, confused. "I need to address the board about Unit 7, Derek said. "The board is in closed session. You can't just—" Derek walked past her into the conference room. 7 faces turned toward him with varying expressions of surprise and annoyance. Dr. Halvik sat at the head of the table, his Centaurian features hardening when he recognized Derek. "Mr. Walsh," Halvik said coldly, "you're suspended. You have no business being here. I have evidence that Unit 7's patient is conscious, aware, and capable of communication," Derek said quickly, before they could have him removed. "I request a 5-minute demonstration before you approve the transfer." "Security," Halvik said into his comm device. "Wait." The voice came from a slender Thalarian sitting near the end of the table. "Quinn, the facility's ethics observer." "What kind of evidence?" Derek pulled out his tablet. Video documentation of the patient responding to communication attempts using a basic interface system. The patient has a name, Star Singer. It can answer questions, express emotions, and convey complex ideas. "This is absurd," Halvik said. "The patient has been extensively evaluated. Multiple specialists have confirmed complete neural shutdown of communication centers. Did any of those specialists try talking to it?" Derek challenged. The room went quiet. Quinn leaned forward. "Show us the evidence." Derek activated the tablet, displaying the compiled footage. The board members watched as Star Singer touched icons in response to Derek's questions, spelling out its name, indicating emotions, describing memories. One of the board members, a Valorian named Kresh, frowned at the screen. "This could be random movement. Muscle spasms." "Then test it," Derek said. "Right now. Come to Unit 7 and ask Star Singer questions yourself. If I'm wrong, I'll accept termination without complaint." Halvik's expression was murderous. "You violated patient protocol. You interfered with medical treatment. You have no training, no credentials, and no authority to make therapeutic decisions." "I have 5 years of special education experience working with nonverbal students," Derek shot back. "And I have something none of your specialists had. I actually tried." "That's enough," Halvik started, but Quinn interrupted. "I want to see the demonstration," the Thalarian said firmly. "This is an ethics question now. If there's any possibility this patient is conscious and we transfer it to catatonic care, that would be a serious violation of patient rights." 2 other board members nodded in agreement. That Halvik's jaw tightened, but he was outnumbered. "Fine. 5 minutes. But when this proves to be nothing, Mr. Walsh, you'll face formal charges." The group moved to Unit 7. Derek's hands were shaking as he retrieved the communication tablet from inside the containment unit. Star Singer was alert, pressed against the glass, watching the crowd of people gather outside. Derek held the tablet where everyone could see. "Star Singer, can you hear me?" The dragon's claw moved to the green icon. "Yes." Several board members shifted uncomfortably. "Are you aware of where you are?" Derek asked, green. "Yes." Quinn stepped forward. "May I try?" Derek handed over the tablet. Quinn studied it for a moment, then spoke clearly. Can you tell us your name? Star Singer's claw moved deliberately across the screen. Star. Song. 3. Dawn. That's a traditional Pyrrhian name structure, Kresh said quietly. 4 elements representing position, role, sequence, and time period. Quinn continued. Are you in pain? Red. No. Are you frightened? Green. Yes. Why are you frightened? Star Singer took longer with this response, selecting multiple icons. Lost. Alone. Dark. Transfer. More alone. It knows about the transfer. One of the board members whispered that Quinn's expression was grave. Can you tell us what happened to you before you came here? Star Singer's claw trembled slightly, then began selecting icons in sequence. Family. Flight. Attack. Fight. Loss. Everything. Sad. Couldn't speak. Couldn't mind touch. Nobody see. Nobody hear. Give up. The room was completely silent. Then Star Singer added more icons. Human. See. First. Hope. Derek felt his throat constrict. Halvik stepped forward, his voice strained. This proves nothing. These could be programmed responses, conditioning. Ask it a question it couldn't possibly be prepared for. Quinn interrupted. Halvik thought for a moment. What is the primary export of Pyrrhus for? Star Singer didn't hesitate. The claw moved across the tablet, selecting icons Derek had added for trade and economy concepts. Crystal. Song. Art. That's correct. Kresh confirmed. Pyrrhian crystal formations that respond to sound frequencies. They're famous for it. Halvik tried again. How many moons does your homeworld have? Star Singer touched a number icon. 3. Also correct, Kresh said. Quinn turned to face the board members. I'm calling for an emergency vote to postpone the transfer and authorize a full communication evaluation by certified specialists. Seconded, Kresh said immediately. Halvik looked around the table, seeing the shift in his colleagues' faces. This is highly irregular. So, is discovering a patient we diagnosed as catatonic is actually fully conscious? Quinn replied sharply. All in favor of a 30-day evaluation period? 4 hands went up, then a 5th. 6 total. Only Halvik abstained. Motion carries, Quinn said. The transfer is postponed. Dr. Halvik, please arrange for appropriate specialists to evaluate Unit 7's communication capabilities. Halvik's expression was cold stone. And what about Mr. Walsh's protocol violations? Quinn looked at Derek thoughtfully. Mr. Walsh's methods were unorthodox, but his results speak for themselves. I recommend we create a provisional position for him as cultural liaison during the evaluation period. His relationship with the patient appears to be therapeutically significant. Absolutely not, Halvik began. It's not your decision alone, Kresh interrupted. I vote in favor of Quinn's recommendation. 3 more hands went up. Halvik stood abruptly. Fine. 30 days. But Mr. Walsh will be under constant supervision. And if this evaluation shows anything other than legitimate progress, he'll face full disciplinary action. The meeting dissolved, board members filing out with quiet conversations. Quinn approached Derek as he carefully returned the tablet to Star Singer's unit. You took a huge risk, the Thalarian said. I know. What? Derek looked through the glass at Star Singer, who was watching him with those amber eyes. Because someone had to. Quinn nodded slowly. I'll be monitoring this evaluation closely. Don't make me regret supporting you. After everyone left, Derek stood alone with Star Singer. He picked up the tablet one more time. We bought 30 days, he said. Now we have to prove them all wrong. Star Singer's response was immediate green. Together. Hope. The specialists arrived within 3 days. A team of 5 experts in interspecies communication, trauma recovery, and Pyrrhian biology. They took over Star Singer's care with professional efficiency, implementing standardized testing protocols and documented procedures. Derek was allowed to observe, but not participate. He watched from outside Unit 7 as the specialists worked with Star Singer using the tablet system he had created. They asked questions from prepared lists, recorded responses, and analyzed patterns. Everything was measured, categorized, and filed into neat reports. Star Singer cooperated with all of it. The dragon answered their questions accurately, demonstrated its communication abilities, and showed no signs of the catatonic behavior that had defined the past 8 months. But Derek noticed something the specialists didn't see. Or maybe they saw it and didn't think it mattered. Starsinger was withdrawing. The responses were still accurate, but they became shorter, more basic. The dragon stopped using complex icon combinations and stuck to simple yes or no answers. The bright attention in those amber eyes dimmed slightly with each passing day. After 2 weeks, Derek couldn't stay quiet anymore. He approached the lead specialist, a Corellian named Dr. Seft, during a break between sessions. Starsinger is regressing, Derek said to Dr. Seft pulled up charts on her datapad. The patient's response accuracy remains at 97%. Cognitive function tests show no decline. All metrics are stable. The metrics don't show everything, Derek insisted. Look at the response complexity. Starsinger was combining 6 or 7 icons to express nuanced ideas. Now it's mostly single icon responses. That's called baseline establishment, Dr. Seft explained patiently. We're determining the patient's actual capabilities versus condition responses. Once we have solid baseline data, we can begin therapeutic advancement. You're treating Starsinger like a test subject instead of a person. Dr. Seft's expression hardened. We're following established protocols that have been proven effective across multiple species. Your emotional attachment to the patient is clouding your judgment, Mr. Walsh. Derek wanted to argue, but he was already on thin ice. Quinn had warned him to let the professionals work. Any interference could jeopardize the entire evaluation. Derek stepped back and watched as the specialists continued their methodical approach. By the end of week 3, Starsinger had stopped initiating communication entirely. The dragon only responded when directly questioned, and even then, the answers were minimal. The medical team noted reduced spontaneous engagement in their reports, but attributed it to fatigue from intensive testing. Derek knew better. He had seen this before in his special education students. It was what happened when someone stopped believing their communication mattered. On day 22 of the evaluation period, Derek received permission for a brief supervised visit. He entered the observation room with Dr. Seft watching from the doorway. Starsinger was curled in the corner of the containment unit, wings folded tight, head tucked against its chest. The posture was almost identical to how the dragon had looked 8 months ago when Derek first started noticing it. "Hey," Derek said softly, approaching the glass. "It's me." Starsinger's eye cracked open, then closed again. Derek felt his heart break. "I know this is hard. I know all the testing is exhausting. But you have to keep trying. We're so close to proving you deserve better care." No response. Derek pulled out his personal tablet, the one he had used during their early sessions. "Remember when we first started talking? You spelled out your name for me. Starsinger at Third Dawn. You told me about losing your family." Starsinger's eye opened again, but the dragon didn't move. "You told me you had given up because nobody could see you or hear you," Derek continued. "But I saw you. I heard you. And I'm still here." Slowly, Starsinger's head lifted slightly. "I know these doctors are different from me," Derek said. "They're doing everything by the book, following all the rules. But that doesn't mean they don't care. They're trying to help, they just have a different way of showing it." Starsinger's claw extended slightly toward the glass. "Talk to me," Derek said. "Please, tell me what's wrong." Starsinger stared at him for a long moment, then slowly moved toward the communication tablet. The dragon's claw hovered over the icons, then began pressing them in sequence. Tests. Same, same, same. Numbers. Shots. Not see. Me. Derek understood immediately. They're focused on data instead of connection. Green. Yes. They want to prove you're capable of communication, but they're not actually communicating with you. Green. Sad. Tired. Derek glanced back at Dr. Seft, who was watching with clinical interest but no apparent emotion. He turned back to Starsinger. "Here's the thing," Derek said quietly. "You and we connected because I needed to understand you, not measure you. But these specialists, they need the measurements to convince everyone else that you're worth saving. It's frustrating, I know, but it's necessary." Starsinger pressed more icons. "You. Different. You. See, I do see you, Derek said, and I haven't stopped seeing you. But I can't be the only one. We need other people to see you too, or they'll send you away the moment this evaluation ends. Starsinger was quiet for a moment, then selected icon slowly. Scared. Alone. Again. You're not alone, Derek said firmly. I'm here. Quinn is here, fighting for you. Even some of these specialists, they're on your side, even if they don't show it the way I do. The dragon's claw touched one more icon. Trust. Derek pressed his hand against the glass. Yes. Trust. I know it's hard. I know you've lost so much that trusting anyone feels dangerous. But sometimes we have to risk being hurt again if we want a chance at something better. Starsinger moved closer to the glass, placing its massive foreclaw against the barrier opposite Derek's hand. A doctor. Seft cleared her throat. Time's up, Mr. Walsh. Derek nodded, but didn't move immediately. Tomorrow, when they do the testing, I want you to show them what you showed me. The real you. Not just yes and no answers. Tell them your story. Make them see you. Starsinger held his gaze, and Derek saw a flicker of the sharp intelligence that had first caught his attention all those weeks ago. Green. Try. That's all I'm asking, Derek said, as Derek left the observation room. He heard a sound he had never heard before. A low, rumbling vibration from inside Unit 7. Starsinger was trying to vocalize, forcing damaged vocal cords to produce something. Anything that IT was barely a whisper of sound, rough and broken, but it was their doctor. Seft stopped walking, her expression shifting from clinical detachment to genuine surprise. That's impossible. The medical scans showed complete vocal structure damage. Derek smiled despite himself. Starsinger is full of surprises. The next day's evaluation session showed marked improvement. Starsinger engaged fully, using complex icon combinations to describe memories, emotions, and experiences. The specialist recorded everything with growing excitement. But Derek knew the real breakthrough wasn't in the data. IT was in Starsinger's choice to keep trying, even when hope seemed foolish.